Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's match preview of Leeds United against West Ham United, and we're going to kick it off as always with thoughts of my co-host and get his opinion on Leeds United.
Yeah, I can't say I've watched them play too much. I've got to be honest with you, Gio. Although I did watch them against Manchester City and was, as you know, because I texted you during the game, I was reasonably impressed with what I saw, particularly their pressing and their attacking intent. They've done well because they're in, consecutive seasons in the Premier League, which is good, not for the size of club, but if you forget about, the Don Revie team and all that, and David O'Leary, forget about all that stuff and the size of the stadium. They've been down and out for a long, long time. So if you have been, to get back up is a good thing. Consecutive seasons, absolutely great. And they sacked their manager. So this will be their third season in the Premier League, if we got that right.
Yeah.
Sacked their manager, Bielsa. They brought a new guy in, Jesse March, I think his name is. I thought, no good. That was my initial thought. No good at all. He's been better than I thought he would be, actually. And I know they're not up in the top four or anything like that, but they sold their best two players as well, which is, let's be fair. We kept our best player and they sold their best two, and they're still better than us. So they ain't done too badly. I'm sure, the fans might have a different story to tell. And if you're going to sell the family silver, I understand that that obviously Rafinha wasn't necessarily the family silver. He was only passing through anyway. But certainly, I think they called Phillips the Yorkshire Pirlo or something. I think he might have a name like that or something like that. So he certainly was a local lad. And then, it obviously told everybody less than a year ago that he was Leeds forever and was never going to leave Leeds and all that sort of stuff. Which obviously, look, hey, stuff happens. Man City come in for you. But I do believe he's very fond of the club and very fond of the area. And it must have been hard for them to lose such an influential player. Having said he was injured quite a lot, wasn't he? So I think they've done well. I think they've done really well.
Yeah, I think they've done well to remain in the Premier League, and I think they took a bit of a gamble when they sacked Bielsa last season. I know things weren't going great for them, but it was one of those where obviously as a neutral, was disappointed to see the Leeds and Bielsa story come to an end, because it was like the perfect manager at the perfect club at the perfect time, getting them up. And the first season back, they were just loving football at Ellen Road, and I was enjoying watching Leeds play with their high energy, their high press under Bielsa. It was just magical to watch, and most games involved like 8 goals. Well, obviously not, but Leeds were good for scoring a couple every single game, but they're also good for conceding a couple every single game. And it was absolutely just entertainment. And few managers come along and really capture me in terms of just how they go about football and how they speak and how they do their tactics and stuff. And Bielsa's one of them that just had me hook, line and sinker from the moment he arrived, well, at Leeds in the Championship as well. But from the moment he rocked up in England, that was it. I was there. Enjoyed watching Leeds, enjoyed learning about Bielsa and stuff like that. And the longer he remained at Leeds United, the more I would learn, and how he went about things behind the scenes at Ellen Road as well. And it was just fascinating. So I was disappointed to see it come to an end. I understood why, because they were heading in the wrong direction, and it worked out for the best. They stayed up. I will be honest, I still think they might have stayed up had they kept Bielsa at the helm anyway, but that's hypothetical. That's an opinion. The fact of the matter is Jesse Marsh did keep them up. I must admit, though, I'm still jury out on him. I'm still not convinced that he is the right manager for Leeds. There's some games I watch, I think he's doing all right, and there's other games I just think it's just, I don't feel that spark that Bielsa brought. Maybe that's more of a compliment to Bielsa rather than it is a sort of negative towards Jesse. But I'm not convinced that he's the long-term appointment at that club. He's not been there that long. He's been there for less than 12 months. I'm waiting to see more from him. But even this season, when I watched them, I think they're okay. Transfer market, they dipped into the window quite a lot, obviously for the reasons you said. They sold their 2 best players, and they've not really worked out as well. And I don't know, I'm just trying to work out a little bit. I'm still a bit uncertain on the manager and the squad, to be honest with you. And therefore, it makes me uncertain about their future. But before we talk about that, Gonzo, I just want to point you guys in the direction of our Patreon. New year, new you. I forget that. How about new year, new content, or how about more content? By heading over to our Patreon at patreon.com/hammerchat. The link is in the description and the pinned comments as well. By joining up, you help out the channel a lot, and it helps us get more guests on. You see me interview the likes of Nigel Winterburn and Hayden Mullins. We work with Anton Ferdinand on a regular basis. Recently, we've had the likes of Harry Redknapp and Tony Carr over on an exclusive to Patreon. We've got more guests lined up in 2023. We're quite excited. So what do you get in return for your money? You get more videos. You get my opposition prediction in regards to Leeds. So I'll go through who I think will start for Leeds. And also, there's something that concerns me a lot about Leeds. Something that I picked up on the last 2 games that's got me a little bit worried for Wednesday night. That'll be my opposition prediction too. We've got the Breakfast Show, we've got the player ratings, Mugger Team, myself and Gonzo, Hammer Analytics every single week, the Patreon podcast, every single, loads of content. But if it's not just videos you want, get exclusive discount at our online store, plus entry to every single giveaway. And at the end of this month, we'll be giving away a signed Jeff Hurst England shirt and a signed Declan Rice Premier League captain's armband as well. From £3.60 per month, link in description. Do check it out. Gonzo! That R word, isn't it? It's been associated with half the Premier League at the moment and Leeds United as well.
New Year's resolution.
That starts with N.
Yeah, it does.
But relegation is a possibility.
For both clubs, yes. I think
we're talking about Leeds. We know it's a possibility for us, but what about Leeds?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For sure. There's no doubt about it at all. They had a lot of attacks when I watched them play, and so some real swashbuckle to them actually, and then it sort of stopped. And I did look at it and think, so they brought the young striker on in one of the games that I watched, the one that's highly promising young striker,
Gelhardt.
Brought him on, looked good. They had let me have a look. Hold on a second, I'm gonna have to try his name. Gnonto,
Yes.
Tonto. Him, he looked good. By the way, I mean, he looked really good, but so they looked like they were going to threaten on the goal, but there wasn't much goal action happening. So that's always going to be a problem. And as we know that from ourselves, if you can't score goals, then you're gonna have an issue with it. But they do seem to press really well. There's a lot to like about them. Real high press, lots of energy as well. They seem to have lost that. They've kept that. That's a really good thing, isn't it? If you lose a manager like Bielsa, but you can keep some of the good stuff that he was doing. So that's really good, but it's going to be hard. I'm really struggling. We've all played the game recently, haven't we? Find 3 worse teams than West Ham United, and it's not easy. Well, you can't, and because of that, it shows how good I think the Premier League is better. I was looking when I was trying to extrapolate how poorly West Ham had done over the last 12 months. I was getting annoyed that the Norwich 4-0 was in there. And I was speaking to my old man about it, and he said, I think Norwich is probably the worst team that have been in the Premier League for some time. And I thought about it. Yeah, there's not a Norwich this year. They're all significantly better. Do you know what I mean? So not anyone, I'll tell you now. I won't even make it up. I'll tell you now. I don't think Leicester will, but let's say mathematically from Leicester City downwards, anyone get relegated. Leicester, Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, Forest, Wolves, Southampton, and I don't even think Wolves will. So, yeah, Leeds can get relegated.
I think they can, but I don't think they will. There's just enough to like about their squad, actually. They appear to have more squad depth. They've got a couple of right backs now. They've got plenty of centre backs. Left back, they're lacking a bit of centre midfield. They've got plenty of players. They're just lacking goals. And Patrick Bamford's permanently injured as well, which doesn't help. So they're lacking goal scorers. Rodrigo's got a load this season, but the next top goal scorer, I believe, is Somerville, who doesn't start games. He's just like a super sub off the bench kind of thing. Then after him, I'm pretty certain the third top goal scorer is Struick, who plays left back. They're not scoring enough, and they're also conceding too much. You look at their goals conceded; they've conceded far more than West Ham, for example, and that's never a good combination. They've also got the January transfer.
They must be bad. That's a bad defence, isn't it?
I feel a bit sorry for them, to be honest with you, because there was another player. It wasn't just they were very close to signing Cody Gakpo in the summer, and Van Gaal had a word with him and said, "Oh, just wait till after the World Cup, will you?" And he went to the World Cup in Qatar. Now he's at Liverpool, kind of thing. But Leeds were very, very close to signing him, and I'm pretty certain there was another player for some reason, I've got in my head that there was another player they were close to signing and didn't quite get him, and he's gone on to have a really good season so far.
They got good scouting, and they've got money.
Yeah, and they're also invested in the academy as well, as we know too well about with Sonny Perkins going there, and potentially, they were at minimum after Harrison Ashby as well. So they're starting to identify players performing well at the under 21s and under 18s level and trying to lure them to the club so that then, there's clearly a way into the first team at Leeds United. You just look at, like I spoke about Gelhardt, you just mentioned Gelhardt, I've just mentioned Somerville. There is room for youngsters to get into that first team at Ellen Road, and that's got to be a lure for them. The one thing I will say I've noticed about Leeds under Marsh compared to Bielsa, which I admire a little bit, Bielsa was very honest, wasn't he? Very, very honest was Bielsa.
Oh.
Remember that game they scored when there was a player down, he made his team concede a goal and it caused...
Gio, this is the most reasonable man we've ever seen in football. No one's into equality like Bielsa. He used to take the knee for the whole game.
Anyway, Marsh has added a bit of a nasty streak in that Leeds team, I think. Not quite dirty old Leeds or anything, but against Newcastle, the last 10, 15 minutes, they were time wasting and they were up to the shithousery, they were, weren't they? You saw Tyler Adams kicking the ball off the ball, so it went pinging away and riled up Murphy, and Klitsch has often been very good at it as well. That Gnonto's very good at it. And there's a lot to like about that, though. When you're down the bottom, you need a little bit of grit. You need a little bit of the dark arts, and I think Marsh has given them that, actually, and it's earned them a point at St. James's, which, you offer me a point at St. James's, we go there at the start of February. Hell, I'll take it. So there's no shame in that. Final question on Leeds United then. Pleasure, Mayor.
I'll have to click back on their team. So I'd like that Gnonto, if I've said that.
Yeah, he's he is tipped to go on and become, like, I guess, world class, if you like. I've seen it in glimpses. He's definitely got the talent. He's a bit hot-headed, but he's definitely got the talent. He's somebody that I think, when we do the Leeds preview next year, should we both be in the same league, whichever division it is, we'll be picking him out as somebody that's had a really good 12 months.
Well, there you go. That's why I got in there early. There you go.
You're a good scout, Gonzo. Do you know how much they paid for him?
I don't know.
5 million.
Okay, yeah. He looked dangerous. I've seen him play. Never seen him before. He looked dangerous. Put it this way. I was watching it and I was getting confused. Thinking, what's happened to Dan James? Oh, yeah, that's it. I remember. So that's how confused I am when I'm watching these teams. I don't know. So they've got a guy called Greenwood, not that one. He looked all right, to be fair, from what I could see. I've not seen him before. Rodrigo obviously looked dangerous as well. Some decent players there, and we know we like the keeper. The keeper's good as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I like Meslier, top keeper. For somebody he's really young in terms of ages of goalkeepers, and to be that good, to be able to hold your own with the best in the Premier League to some extent, then I think he's fantastic. If Leeds can keep a hold of him, then they'll do very, very well. I think Adamson's disappointed me a little bit. I had high hopes when they signed him in the summer, and they also signed Christensen as well. So it was almost like they were buying a partnership. And I don't think Christensen's not impressed me. I didn't have high hopes for him. But Adamson seems a little bit lightweight for the Premier League. And once he gets used to it a bit, he goes down a bit too easy for my liking. He's often looking at the referee for protection, and it frustrates me because he's a talented player, and it's just one of them. If he just gets on with it a little bit, he will go good. I think Tyler Adams has been excellent for them. That felt like a bit of a coup when they signed him in this summer, and it's one of those you see move to Leeds, and as a West Ham fan, I'm thinking, why were we not in for him? That's a good signing for Leeds, and he's looking like a good one. Roca was, funnily enough, a player we were heavily linked to in the summer. Do you remember? And he apparently wanted to come to West Ham, but there was other influences which sort of pushed him towards Leeds. He looks quite handy as well, but very energetic team, Leeds. Lots of hard-working players. Strick will go on to be a top player, just not at left back. They need a left back, Leeds. They get a left back. They've got a decent starting 11 there, and I think that'll be enough to see them remain in the Premier League beyond this summer. Shall we do West Ham's team news?
Unfortunately, yes.
No, you liar. We shouldn't. Do you know why?
Why?
Because we've got to have a look at your team now and have a look at my team.
Let's do that first.
Because it's Betmate time. And on Wednesday night, Betmate is 6-side fantasy football for the Leeds West Ham game only. So you only pick players from Leeds and West Ham, and costs £1 to enter. But don't worry, If you join up using our link and use the code HC10, you get £10 free credit. So you join up, you still got £9 free credit left for the remainder of the month. Hopefully to just do the West Ham games, but you can play any games on there with your free credit. So the 6-a-side fantasy league, and to give you a little bit of an idea, we've got Gonzo's team. We've got Ingo, got Meslier at the back. He's got Dawson and Koch. He's got Rigo with a captain's armband with Paqueta as his vice captain. And now that gets you double points in 1.5 points regardless. Usually fantasy league, vice captain only steps in if your captain don't play. Not on Betmate. They pick up additional points. And up front, he's gone with the West Ham duo of Jared Bowen and Gianluca Scamacca. It's an all right team. Do you want to know why I think it's an all right team?
Tell me.
Because let's have a look at mine. In goal, I got Meslier. At the back, I've got Dawson and Cooper. I've also got Adams and Rodrigo in midfield. I've given him the vice captain's armband. And I've got Scamacca and Bowen up front. And I've given Gianluca the captain's armband as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. Yeah, 4. Sorry. 4 of our players all match up Gonzo. I say 6-a-side. It's 7-a-side, isn't it? There's a keeper and 6 outfielders.
That's sneaky. I wonder why I kept losing.
Anyway, yes, £1 to join up. Use the code HC10. Get involved there and see if you can beat myself and Gonzo. Because there's only one pot for this one. It's £100 prize pot up for grabs. We'll all be in one big lead, so you can compare yourself to myself, Gonzo, and Charlie. But we'll see Charlie's team in the build-up show on Wednesday night. Now, the West Ham team, Kurt Zouma has actually made quite good progress, and he's not far away from returning. However, it's believed that this game will just be a little bit too soon for him. And Maxwell Cornet, well, we say, where is he? Apparently he's in France. He's gone to France to see a specialist, although David Moyes isn't too convinced.
He's not sure. Moyes doesn't know where he is.
Moyes isn't too sure where he is. But the unofficial news is he's gone to France to see a specialist and he may require surgery. Apart from that, though, we've got a good bill of health, actually. Moyes has got quite a large squad to select from for this. Gonzo, let's go through the teams you want to see here. Ariel and goal, I assume?
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Definitely have Areola in goal. The youth is not Areola particularly, because he's one of the older players. Obviously not as old as Fabianski. It was really interesting actually to hear from people. We didn't obviously go to the game. Hear from people in the stadium the frustration and the shouting there was that I heard that when Fabianski had his little fumble and couldn't quite, almost just tried to distribute the ball and almost fell over and all the rest of it. A lot of frustration, apparently. People were yelling at him, come on, get a blooming move on and all the rest of it. So, yes, for distribution purposes, we want that. But I think we looked old. And sometimes, doing what we do, Geo, sometimes you say something and you stumble across something. And just when I was saying it the other day about this reference to us and how we were 2 years ago, I just started saying, well, the 2 years ago, Antonio was different to now. The 2 years ago, Cresswell was different to now. I started going through everyone. It really, it's sort of, bloody hell, we are old. Do you know what I mean? Don't mean just you and me. I mean the team. And I thought, well, this is not, you see other people are talking about it as well, and the average age of the team. I'm going for youth.
Well, this is going to be interesting to see how you're injecting youth into this team, because we don't have a lot of youngsters to pick from. So Ariel and goal for me as well. I still hold Fabianski a large part to blame for their second goal, not as much as Aaron Cresswell, but on a similar level to Ogbonna. The fact that he was just rooted to his 6-yard line is just wild to me. And Leeds will press high. Leeds will press your goalkeeper. You've got to be able to use him as an option. And we do use Ariel. Eye test. Statistically, I don't know, but it feels like we use the keeper a lot more when Ariel is in goal. We don't mind giving it back to him rather than just belting it out for throw-ins and stuff. Now, this will be interesting. What formation do you want to see? Because obviously we played 3 at the back against Brentford, and there was a improvement. Obviously not a big enough one to win the game, but we saw, a midfield partnership come off the back of that 3 at the back. We saw, a back Cresswell moving to the back, Emerson coming in. So would you like to stick with 3 at the back, or would you like to see us switch it back up to the 4?
I would like to see us stick with 3 at the back, but I can't see how we can if Zuma's not there. Because I don't think we've got 3 centre halves, so that's the problem.
What about Dawson, Aguerd, and Ogbonna?
No, I can't. No, Ogbonna mustn't play anymore in the Premier League. I'm saying, with respect, obviously, and dollops of respect and love.
This is age discrimination. This.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Let's do that. Let's call it
Interesting.
that. Yeah. So otherwise, I would do that actually. I would, because I didn't think the formation was that bad. I think it was the personnel and the lack of ideas. We want to get some more ideas. We want to move the ball a little bit more quickly, have a bit of vibrancy, bit of, as I say, bit of youth. So I'll go with a 4 at the back. Play Harrison Ashby at right back, just to get some youth in there. We discussed it. Other people won't. It's not like anyone. It's not like I would, just put like a random child off the street and
Yeah, but
play him
Gonzo,
at right back.
you could have said Harrison Ashby because I believe he's the best option for right back at the minute. Can't disagree with you.
Well, I think this is what I was going to go and say. What we discussed in our Patreon video the other day. There seems to be this thought that actually because he's off, you can't play him. I think we're already bad enough without putting our own restrictions on ourselves.
Well, if that's the rules, you can't play Declan Rice.
Exactly right. And do you know what? We are not so good that we can give up 3 or 4 points. Now, if, as some of us think might happen, Soufal's off, we might be looking to bring another right back, and even if it's on loan, we've already decided that right back options aren't good enough. Even if Harrison Ashby, and he is off to Newcastle or whatever, is worth 4 more points to us this season. They're 4 points we can't afford to give up. Our delivery from the right-hand side is awful, and it's slow. It's either slow because it's basically we have to check back and then Bowen will have to do it on his left foot, or it's inaccurate because it's first time with Soufal doing it. There's 2 things that Harrison Ashby's got. I don't mean legs. He can cross it and he can shoot. So let's get him in there, and that's what I would. He'd be, and I'll take you through the back 4. Dawson, I know he's not young, but we've got to have someone in there. And I'd play a Gerd next to him, and then I'll play Ben Johnson at left back.
Yeah, I agree with 3 of your back 4 there. Soufal for me at right back. I think I can't really argue against Ashby, though. If he was to play Ashby, I'd be okay with that one. That's where Gnonto plays on the left wing usually, and he's rapid as well. So whoever's playing a right back is going to have his hands full with him. But like I said, he does have a little bit of a temper, and I almost fancy Soufal to wind him up a little bit because he gets booked a lot, and it's usually for stupid bookings as well. I saw him get booked. I think it was maybe the Man City game. He got yellow carded for just not getting out of the way of a free kick or something. It was just like, well, that was just silly, wasn't it? What have you done that for? The reason I want to see 4 at the back, though, is because I don't like our wing back options. I don't like Soufal being shoehorned in at right wing back, and I don't really like Emerson. So if we had really good wing backs, and I say yes, stick with 3 at the back because I thought we looked a little bit better. We were better on the ball. We were calmer on the ball for whatever reason. I think that's mainly down to personnel rather than shape, but we don't have those wing backs. So it's almost like nobody will convince me otherwise. When you play this way, your wing backs are so important. They have to be really, really good. And we just don't have those really, really good wing backs. So you're almost starting yourself. You're almost handcuffing yourself before a ball's kicked because what should be your strengths is actually one of your weaknesses. And I think it's just absolutely wild. It's like playing Chicharito up front and setting your tactics up to have a target man. It's just silly. It's not going to work. Soufal, Dawson, Agard, and Ben Johnson for myself. 4-3-3 for me, Gonzo. Rice in that defensive midfield role. He was a bit of a defensive midfielder against Brentford. It wasn't full on Claude Makelele style, but it was certainly a lot more disciplined than what we've seen so far this season. And I would like to see Paqueta and Fornals in there. I still want to see Fornals in beside Paqueta. I think there was a bit of promise from Paqueta and Rice as a pairing in there. I think if you add in Fornals, somebody that will work hard, somebody that is good on the ball, then let's have it. I think Leeds will likely have 3 centre midfielders on the pitch, and it'll be an absolute battle in there. They will put in tough challenges. They will commit fouls. We need to be up for the battle in the middle of the pitch. If we approach this game in the wrong way in the middle of the pitch, we will lose it. Forshaw and or Adams and or Roca, whoever is in there, will bully our midfield if we let them. So I want to see 3. And Fornals isn't that tough, but he doesn't duck out of challenges.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't seen Paqueta duck out of challenges neither, and I've not seen Rice do it. So that 3 for me in the middle of the park, and they've got to win the game in there.
Yeah, I'd go with Fornals, Rice, and Flynn Downs, all in their mid-20s or younger. That's it.
So is Paqueta.
No, he is, but he's. It's not his fault. I don't blame any portion. He blames him. He's not. not up to the pace of the Premier League as far as I'm concerned at the moment. And we don't have luxury enough to play with the points to get him there. I'm unconvinced with him attacking midfield as a number 10 if you want or whatever. So I just think you know what you're going to get with Flynn Downs. Put Flynn Downs in, you know what you're going to get. And I think I'd put Fornals in there. And if need be, you can then change it up and make a substitution. Well, we can make a substitution. David Moyes wouldn't, but you could put then bring Lanzini on, or you could bring
that'd be nice to do in the 80th minute.
Oh, lovely.
That should see out the 2-0 defeat.
But which is what's important, isn't it? Because then Leeds only get the 3 points and 2 more goal difference back, which is how you should approach every game.
Well, in normal circumstances, I would assume you've got the same front three, right? But given this whole, we need younger players in there, I'm not too sure. But we must surely have got the same front three.
Yeah, of course we do. They're young. They're young. It's not their fault. It's the old guard of whatever 2 years ago that I don't want to, I don't want to see O'Connor, I don't want to see Antonio, I don't want to see Cresswell, any of the, I just don't want to see him. Honestly, I don't want to see him in there. I want a young, I want it to look like a new team, and I want to see energy in there as well. I wouldn't even have a problem with Cresswell. If Cresswell was, we could shoehorn him and find a place for him in the team if the supply line and deliveries were still there. If we knew, he guarantees assists, you can't even, you might say that he's a bit suspect defensively, but he gets us loads of assists. Well, he's not, so he's just a bit suspect defensively. So, so for that reason, I don't even think he's finished for this season. By the way, Cresswell's been having a good season, but
this is
right
just the wrong game. This game has a potential to be end to end, high energy, and for those viewers I've got this far that are not West Ham fans, the front three is Jai Bone on the right, Saïd Benrahma on the left, and Scamacca up front. It's just for clarity for people like, who is it then?
We assume everyone's going to know. We do a clairvoyant video sometimes where we just think, and you know what we're thinking.
Yeah, I knew what you were going to say. Looking ahead to this game, or should I say looking back at the previous game going, so there was some small positives to take from the Brentford game, I think. I think there was obviously a change of formation, but I actually felt there was a change of style as well. And it was a lot more. I thought we moved the ball a bit quicker. I thought we were putting in a lot more crosses. The problem is we're still creating nothing at the end of it. But I felt there was a change at least. And therefore, I felt, like I said, the team came out. While I wasn't happy with the defence for that, it gave me an injection of enthusiasm. I thought, here we go, there's changes. In the first 15 minutes, we were unlucky not to be 2-0 up with Rice and Dawson's efforts and stuff. So there was some positives to take from that one going into this one. Are you confident?
I think we can win it, actually.
Yeah.
I do think we can win it. I just think it's so bad that I think we can. Is that a shadow, or have I got like a black mark on my? Oh dear, I've done the old video of like a. Anyway, there you go.
Hair dye.
Should have said, I wish. If I had hair dye, mate, it would be like this, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean?
You see, we're good at it.
I'd come in looking like Superman. Like, what's his name? Henry Cavill. Not Superman anymore. Funny enough, been sacked. Anyway, nor is he a witcher. He's got no job. We give him a job. He's sport West Ham. Anyway, what are we talking about? Yeah, I do think there's some hope, actually. I think we can. We can. It can't be that bad. It can't be as bad as it seems, because if it is, it's bloody terrible. So, am I confident? No, but I don't think it's a certain loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that one. The thing that worries you a bit, if looking at the league table, if you were to get somebody that doesn't really watch Premier League football and say West Ham playing the league, they go, oh, okay, there's not much between them. West Ham have got a better defence, Leeds have got a better attack. If West Ham win the leapfrog Leeds in the table, they will have a game in hand, but that's how close they are. So you would assume it's a close game, but that removes all the context of the form. Since the Premier League's return, I've watched both of their games. I know you've watched it as well, which is a Man City, a spirit. They got beat, but it was a spirited performance from them, and they would have come away feeling, okay, there's a lot of positives to take from this. A few good performers. And then they've got a point away to Newcastle. But I have to say, I do feel Leeds rode their luck in that quite a bit. While Newcastle perhaps didn't create loads of clear-cut chances, I think there was enough there for Newcastle where on another day they win that game. Plus, they were missing, I know they brought them on, but they were missing Callum Wilson. They were missing St. Maximum. Alexander Isak's not in the squad, so they were missing 3 or 4 key players. And, you know, it was a big, big point for Leeds. But I'm just hoping that I'm scraping the barrel here, but that extra day's rest, I hope, helps us out a little bit as well. I'm a bit like you. For some reason, I've got a small bit of optimism going into this one, because I look at Leeds and, like I said, they are a hard-working team, but the fact that I'm listing that as their main attribute is possibly a bad thing for Leeds, because it's not like, oh well, they've got a really good goal scorer, this is really good, or they've got defense that's really hard to break down. They don't have a defense that's hard to break down. They don't have a really good goal scorer at the minute. Rodrigo's top scorer the last couple of games, he's looked crap, to be honest with you. I haven't been impressed with him at all. So there's an opportunity there, actually, and this is as good as you said. Is this as bad as it gets? I'll tell you what, this is as good as it gets for David Moyes if he wants to win a game. We're not playing Southampton next. That's the only other team that's glaringly worse than the rest. We are the next worst team. So when you have a run, forget the cup game. When you've got Leeds, Wolves, and Everton, don't get better than that. If you've got back against the wall to save your job, this is. If you got to pick 5 fixtures or 5 teams to play, these 3 would be in it probably. You'd probably pick Southampton and Bournemouth as well, or maybe Fornals, whatever. But these 3 would certainly be in contention. He's got to go there and get a win, really. He has to get a win. I said a draw against Brentford's dangerous. A draw against Leeds is bloody dangerous as well for us, because we just kick the can down the road and nothing really solves itself. Before we do final words, actually... No, actually, we'll do that. What's your final thoughts and your score prediction, please?
My final thoughts are we're not going to see the teams that we said, but I do think he's going to rush a Gerd back. I say rush, it might not be rush, he might just be ready. He has to come back.
Well, that's the good thing. That's the good thing with Moyes saying we've played really well, right? The good thing is he can't then start putting Souček and that back in, because you can't say we played well and change the team up that much. Well,
listen, I'm not going to. No, look, we will disagree on whether you should. I'm sorry, we'll agree on whether you should. We may well disagree on whether he would, because I think he will put Souček back in there, and that scares the hell out of me. And I think he'll put a Gerd in, and I do think putting a Gerd in will improve that defence immeasurably. Actually, immeasurably, I really do. I think Dawson and Gerd at centre back makes up for a better defence than what we saw. That defence that we saw in terms of pace had no business playing in the Premier League. It really didn't, and I think we can only be better than that. So that might help us solve that problem. Can we solve the goal scoring problem? They seem devoid of ideas. I'm watching teams. Teams look really good at the moment. So I was watching a bit of Nottingham Forest. Johnson, and he was linking up with I don't know. There was triangles. There was stuff.
He's talking about Awoni.
No, he's the big striker that scored against us. There's someone's playing in midfield. Anyway, whatever.
Yates. He was playing behind Johnson, and beside him was Fuller, and beside him was Mangala.
No. Anyway, whatever. I don't care. Right, whatever. There was some stuff going
Morgan
on.
Gibbs White.
Yes. Oh, it was brilliant. Oh my God. Right, thank you. I was watching him. Oh wow, he's so good. He's so good. What a footballer he is. Right. There's no epiphany. I said this years ago at Wolves when he first came through. Right, but forgotten his name. But mind you, has got 2 of them, to be fair. So anyway, I could have got 1 of them. Anyway, Morgan. And I was watching him, and the way they were linking up, they understood each other. He would Johnson make the run, and the pass we found, it was 1-2s and the rest of it. They knew, but even just between those 2 players, how to unlock a defence and how to get behind a defence. We don't seem to have any of that. I didn't see any of it at all. So that's something we're really going to have to deal with, how we can score a goal. There's going to have to be some little partnerships, at least just start to develop. And it's going to, that partnership has to be with Scamacca, Benrahma and Scamacca, Paqueta getting close to Scamacca, Bowen and Scamacca. Something like that is going to need to develop. Or even just, I don't have any faith that it happens at fullback with Bowen and Soufal because it's not quite productive enough. You made the observation on the left-hand side, Ben Rama and Emerson getting in each other's way. Obviously, one is more to blame than the other for that. But it's the opposite of this understanding that we saw with Gibbs White and Brennan Johnson. It's quite up there, bang, they're literally running into each other. We've got Mikel Antonio trying to kick the ball and missing completely and stuff like that. They're going to have to find some sort of cohesion in terms of working it, be it even just simple pass and move. I'd certainly be doing that. At training ground, I'd be drilling the defence. I'd be keeping the defence separate from the rest of the team. The rest of the team, we're just doing pass and move, fellas. We're going to do pass and move, pass and move, pass and move. Get used to passing the ball and moving into space. And hopefully at some point during the game, we'll get something like that will happen. And we'll have drilled it so much, it will feel natural during the game. It's going to have to be, there's nothing particularly innovative with what I said there, but we're going to need to do something like that. Yeah, that's basically what I think.
And your score prediction, please, sir.
Sorry. 2-1 Leeds.
You were saying me up. I thought you were going to go for a West Ham win after all
right.
that.
I think we can. I just don't think we will.
I think the one thing that gives me a lot of, and I mean a lot of hope going into this, is Leeds massively got off with it at set pieces against Newcastle. On another day, a better team than Newcastle scored 2-3 from set pieces. Shaw had a couple of really good chances as well. And they did it against Leeds United. They had small players marking Shaw and John Stones. And it's this sort of hybrid of zonal marking and man marking, and it wasn't really working for Leeds. And I have to admit, I was watching it thinking, tell you what, I cannot wait to see Craig Dawson get on the end of one of these. Dawson up against Forshaw and Gnonto marking him, and then Cooper, and that's got the zonal part of it. But if I just pray that we're working on set pieces, because Dawson was very unlucky against Brentford on 2 occasions. And if he can get those runs and those headers and those deliveries have to be right. No short corners, no pissing around. The deliveries need to be on the money every single time. And if they are, you can trust Dawson to get on the end of 2 or 3 of them. And if he can do that, he will score one of them, or certainly at the very, very worst case scenario, he's going to demand the keeper pulls off a world class save. So go on there, Meslier, save that, and he might do, but he also might not. Set pieces, they were vulnerable from against Newcastle, and it started to give me a little bit of hope actually. But then, they worked hard in that, and I remembered who we are and the form we're in at the minute, and that sort of got rid of that hope pretty quickly. We can win this. Leeds can win this one. It's a very hard game to call. It's down to which manager gets it right on the day, and I think we've come up against Moyes has come up against better managers since we've come back. Arteta and Frank, they're better managers than David Moyes. Marsh, listen, I can't just criticise him and say, but he's better than Moyes. He may very well be, but Moyes is also capable of being better than him on the day as well. And it's going to be interesting to see which one of these two gets it right on the night. I'm going to sit on the fence for this one, Gonzo. I'm going to predict Leeds 1, West Ham 1. Part of me's got a feeling we could win it, but I also had a feeling we'd get something against Brentford, and look how that turned out. So I'm going to predict a 1-1 for this one. But if you guys at home have enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like, comment, subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat. Also, at the very start, we mentioned our Patreon. If you fancy supporting the channel, we're getting more Hammers Chat content from myself, from Gonzo, from Hammerlytics, from Anton Ferdinand. The links in the description and the pinned comments as well. Really, really helps the channel out. Start of January, best time to join because we've got loads of content on Patreon, and we'll be covering the January transfer window as well. But until then, myself and Gonzo will see you on Wednesday night with our build-up show where we'll find out if Thomas Souček is back in the team or not. We'll catch you then.